It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 9th of October. I'm Michael Groff. Well, make it 15 days in a row where we've broken a record high temperature in Phoenix. And that, in and of itself, is a record, a national record, the most number of consecutive days breaking a record. The previous record was held in Iowa from back in 1936, that extremely hot summer they had. And so we're going to tack on to that today, another day with record high temperatures expected. That will continue tomorrow, Friday. But as we head into the weekend and next week, temperatures look to trend down. And we very well may be not only done with 110-degree temperatures, but by about the middle of next week, we might be done with 100-degree temperatures for the year. Let's hope. We'll talk about a pattern change coming our way. Plus, we got to check the tropics. Extremely dangerous Hurricane Milton is out there. We'll get you an update as to what's going on with that. All right, as we dive on in and discuss. First, the almanac from yesterday, we did it again. 108 degrees was the afternoon high. That was a record high temperature, but 81 degrees, that's a record warm low temperature for the date. 92 and 69, those are the averages. They seem like a fever dream at this point. I don't know if we'll ever see those numbers again. We will. Just give it some time. So that's 136 days total now with a high temperature at or above 100 degrees for the year. And 116 days with a low temperature at or above 80. Remember, 145 days is the all-time record for most 100-degree days in a year. So we might get there, although it looks like it's possible we may not. We're going to have a few more here. We're going to go all the way through at least Monday, I think. And then after that, we might not. So maybe that record holds. We'll see. Looking outside now just before 7 a.m. Got some clouds out there this morning. We've even had a little bit of virga on radar, some rain that's not reaching the ground. And the reason it's not reaching the ground, well, look at these current conditions at Sky Harbor. 81 degrees, but it's very dry. The subcloud layer, dew points at 34. Humidity 18%. Wind light, barometer steady. Let's check temperatures out there this morning. It's really not that bad. You've got 64 there at Granite Reef. 62 at Fort McDowell. 69 over there. I'm sorry, that 64 is in Goldfield, 69 at Granite Reef, and 62 in Fort McDowell. Elsewhere, temperatures are mostly in the 70s to about 80 degrees. Satellite picture, it's the same old story here across the Southwest. A very, very weak little wave is coming our way from Southern California that has drawn a tiny bit of mid-level moisture into the area. And you can see some clouds here over central Arizona. There's, again, been a few very light showers, or mostly just virga, just rain that doesn't reach the ground. And we'll have some high clouds around through the morning and into the early afternoon hours before that begins to move on out of here. But otherwise, high pressure remains the dominant feature for now. The watch warning map, we're done with the excessive heat warnings, but we still have an air quality alert issued by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. That's in effect until 9 p.m. this evening. But the big story, obviously, is over the southeast U.S., specifically in Florida. We have hurricane warnings posted for much of the central part of the Florida Peninsula. On top of that, storm surge warnings for the west coast of Florida, and those extend from near Cedar Key all the way down to Fort Myers and close to Flamingo and those areas, expecting to see storm surge, and we'll show you the values on that in a moment. We also have a tornado watch that's been posted across much of central Florida. Flood watches are in effect as well, and more will be posted there. So all of the usuals, and of course, bookended on either side of that hurricane warning, you've got a tropical storm warning for the northern part of the peninsula and the southern part of the peninsula. So everybody in the Florida Peninsula will at least experience tropical storm force winds in all probability. And in fact, some places are already experiencing that. All right, let's check out the convective outlook for today. We've got the enhanced risk of severe storms, level 3 out of 5 across central Florida. Once again, basically from the I-4 corridor on south, we have that risk for some tornadoes. And let me show you that. This is the tornado probability. And you can see there, just southeast of Tampa Bay, that little hatched area, that's the possibility of an isolated significant tornado, EF2 or greater. But otherwise, they're generally, you see in that That zone, you're in that 10 to 14% chance of seeing a tornado from Tampa Bay, Tampa, St. Pete, up through Lakeland and Orlando and Daytona Beach and Melbourne. That means within 25 miles of a given point, there's a 10 to 14% chance of a tornado. That's significant. Even south there and just to the north of that zone, a 5 to 9% chance. So, again, that's nothing to take lightly. And again, from the Keys to Miami to West Palm Beach, all the way up to just south of Jacksonville, there's a chance that you could see a tornado, and that's always a possibility with any landfalling hurricane. And for the most part, these tornadoes that are in these tropical systems are generally small, brief, spin-up tornadoes. They're very hard to warn for. They occur quickly. They come on quickly. They spin out quickly. But every once in a while, you can get a significant tornado. It is possible. So we will watch for that today. And the other thing is, generally speaking, unlike the plain states, you won't see those tornadoes coming because they are embedded in these outer bands of these of a tropical cyclone. They are rain-wrapped, and there's plenty of wind in addition to just the gradient wind from the hurricane. There's also the winds generated by these thunderstorms, these outer bands. So it's very hard to see a tornado coming. And so that's why you just have to be very vigilant on that. Looking at the bigger picture of the tropics right now, really only a couple of areas of concern. You got Leslie out there. You've got a wave coming off the African coast. There's another wave out there east of the Bahamas now that's headed out to the Atlantic basin. We're not going to worry about that. Leslie is a hurricane once again, but it's not going to last long. It's going to curve to the north. It's going to fizzle out over the next several days. That is no threat to land. But here is the big story. This is Milton. And Milton, the satellite presentation on that. Now, one thing we can say here is that it's beginning to look a little bit more disorganized. It's becoming more asymmetrical. Some of the shear and some of this drier air it's taking in, it's taking a toll, and the system is beginning to look like it's losing some strength. But this was a Category 5. It's still an upper end Category 4, and you can see the cloud tops are warming up a little bit here, but look, this is still just an absolute beast of a storm, and it may have another intensification cycle in it. We cannot just write this off, of course. This is still going to be a very dangerous, very devastating hurricane for much of central Florida. Regardless of whether or not it weakens, quote unquote, to a Category 3, that's not really the point. The point is that as this system begins to wind down, as it weakens somewhat, as it undergoes some drier air intrusion and some shear, the wind fields are going to spread out. And we're going to start to really feel those tropical storm force sustained winds in the next several hours across parts of the Florida Peninsula and eventually encompassing the entire Florida Peninsula. So here's the latest advisory. Top winds, max sustained winds, 155 miles per hour. Still a Category 4, upper end Category 4. And again, the thinking from the Hurricane Center since our last update that we did just several hours ago, it seems like I've been sitting in this chair nonstop for 3 days. Since our last update, the official track from the Hurricane Center has been once again readjusted a little bit further north. We said this would happen. We'd see it move a little north, a little south. And so that's where it's at right now. And this is expected to make landfall about 2 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday morning, as a Category 3. This is the area, this is the landfall right here, right now. The Hurricane Center brings it in right about at Longboat Key. Moving it up toward Bayshore Gardens and crossing Lake Manatee. That is just south of Tampa Bay. So, yes, Tampa Bay may be spared the absolute worst of this, but there's still going to be substantial storm surge up to Tampa Bay, still 8 to 12 feet, and we'll show you that graphic in a moment. But so that landfall as a Category 3 is still anticipated early in the morning hours tomorrow. But you're going to be feeling the effects here. I mean, you're really already getting the precipitation and some gusty winds, but that's going to increase. We're going to see the weather deteriorating rapidly through the day today. And again, this is the path across Florida as it's anticipated. And roughly by 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, this will be passing by Melbourne. and then moving off the east coast of Florida. It should remain a hurricane the entire time it's over the peninsula. So obviously that's just devastating. All the rain, the hurricane force winds, we're going to see just so many down trees and power lines. And, hopefully all of you heeded the evacuation orders if you're in those evacuation zones, those A, B, C zones. And if you thought about getting out, if even if you're in the interior, hopefully you did. If not, hopefully all of your preparations are done. The window is closing. So I certainly hope that everybody is, if you're staying in, if you're hunkering down, I hope you're going to be safe and sound. Plenty of food, plenty of water. Again, all those services could be disrupted, utilities and whatnot, for days, maybe weeks. All right, the storm surge outlook from the Hurricane Center here on this. And again, an 8 to 12 foot storm surge for Tampa Bay. But down towards Sarasota and Venice, that's a 10 to 15 foot storm surge. Port Charlotte, 8 to 12 foot storm surge. Down toward Fort Myers, could see about as much as an 8 foot storm surge down there. And even down into the Keys, we could see 1 to 3 feet. And the east coast of Florida, and we don't want to discount that either. From about Melbourne or south of Melbourne all the way up to Jacksonville and just north of there to southeast Georgia, we could see some storm surge, maybe on the order of 3 to 5 feet. And so that's, again, nothing to take lightly. And rainfall, of course, with this, we could see anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rain, maybe a little bit more than that in some areas across central Florida. You'll see rain down further to the south, but not as much. But still keep in mind that obviously flash flooding is going to be an issue with this as well. All right. And let's take a look at current wind gusts as well. I pulled this graphic up here. And right now we've got about, South St. Pete, 25 mile per hour wind gust currently. Looks like generally Pinellas County, 15 to 20 mile per hour wind gust. I see a 33 mile per hour gust right now at Venice. So it's getting breezy for sure. Further to the south in the Keys, now we're seeing some tropical storm force wind gusts, not necessarily sustained winds, but wind gusts right now. So for, that's, Coral Springs High School, 31 mile per hour wind gust. Key Largo's at 28 miles per hour. Marathon, a 37 mile per hour wind gust. At the Key West Naval Station, 45 miles per hour. Key West International Airport, 44 miles per hour. Sand Key at a 51 mile per hour wind gust right now. So, we're really seeing those winds ramping up in the Keys as this system's going to pass by there to the north and west. And we see that right now on the radar. Look at this. You can see on the Key West radar there. This is the composite view, but the Key West radar is seeing the eye of this storm. And the eye is looking rather disorganized right now, but there it is. And some of those outer bands, the heavier showers and thunderstorms are coming into west central Florida right now, really across much of the central part of the Florida Peninsula. We're seeing light to moderate rain, some embedded heavier showers, storms. And at some point, we might even see some isolated tornadoes. And that rainfall is going to be picking up. The gradient winds are going to be picking up, and weather is going to be deteriorating there very soon. Now, for us, we'd love to see a radar, maybe not quite like this, but we'd love to see some rain, but we're not going to see any here. Precipitation outlook for us, closer to home. This is valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, nothing. Statewide, nothing. Region-wide, basically nothing. Main storm track stays to the north of us for a while, but the weather pattern looks like it is going to finally change. We'll talk about that in more detail right now as we get to the models. Take a look at things. This is the GFS, the 06Z run. It's valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon. All right, there you see Milton. It's out there over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, making its way toward the west coast of Florida. Got a trough over the northeast. That's helping to pull Milton north and eastward. With that surface front draped across the southeast U.S., we've got a ridge in the nation's midsection and extending out here into the west. And that weak little wave that's just to the west of us that's brought the clouds in here this morning, well, that's just going to phase out. And so again, high pressure is the dominant feature for us. And what it means down at the surface for the rest of the day today, partly sunny. Again, we've seen a couple of sprinkles around parts of south central Arizona. We might see that this morning, but for the most part, just partly sunny. And then we'll see the clouds decreasing by later this afternoon. High temperatures, it's still going to be hot, all right? 102 to 106. Not as hot as it's been, but still way above average and still record-breaking heat. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows mostly in the 70s to about 80. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and hot again, 103 to 107. Friday, how about this? Here's a change of pace, sunny and hot. Yeah, highs 102 to 106. As we head to the weekend, temperatures are going to trend down a little bit. Highs about 100 to 104 on Saturday. Maybe drop it a couple more degrees on Sunday. The sky's sunny. The air remains dry, though. By Monday, we might just barely make it to the triple digits. Highs about 96 to 100. The sky's sunny. But we are seeing the ridge weakening. We're seeing some troughing developing to the north and west of us. And here's Tuesday. High temperatures look to probably be down below the triple digits, finally. No more record-breaking heat, but still above average. Highs somewhere probably in the mid-90s. We could push the upper 90s, but I think probably 93 to 97 is what we're looking at here for next Tuesday. All right, here's a week from today. This is Wednesday, the 16th. High pressure is still in control over the nation's midsection, troughing along the east coast, a trough over the Pacific Northwest, and lining up along the west coast. Southwesterly flow in here. The heights are coming down a little bit. Highs would still be a little above average if this is right. I'd say low 90s, mid-90s, but no triple digits. Here's Thursday the 17th. We got a trough coming in here to the southwest, and if this is correct, we're a little bit cooler. Highs probably falling into the low 90s, maybe upper 80s and low 90s. So getting closer to average, but still maybe just slightly above, but there might even be a shower or storm over eastern Arizona if that verifies. And going out 10 days, this is Friday the 18th. Little baggy trough here over the southwest. Heights just a little below average, but we're still fairly dry in that setup. Again, there might be a shower or storm over the higher terrain, but the big story is temperatures would be down somewhat closer to average. Maybe not quite there, but close to it. I'd say highs close to 90. And overnight lows during this time would get real pleasant. We'd have lows well down in the 60s in most spots, so that's good. All right, checking out rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS ensemble. This goes out through the 23rd of the month, and we've got the mean sitting just a shade over 1/10 of an inch. European ensemble, yeah, not much to be had here. And temperatures off the national blend of models. Yes, we're still hot today, hot tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. But you see what's happening as we go into next week. The trend is still down, and by the middle and latter part of next week, high temperatures back into the 90s, maybe the low 90s, lows down in the 60s, and that's in the mid-city. Might be near 60 in some of the cooler pockets. It's going to finally start, at least overnight, to feel a little bit more like fall. I know, still around 90, and that's still a little tick above average, but not bad for mid-October. Finally getting somewhat closer to average. And that is going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion today. My next video on this topic, Phoenix area, that'll be back here tomorrow morning. We'll have another Hurricane Milton update later today if I don't completely crash out. When do I sleep? Somebody in the comments a few days ago. When do you sleep, Mike? I don't know. I remember once, I think it was 1987. I do remember sleeping then. But it's been a number of years. Anyway, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions to us. $2, $5, $68,712.09. All or any of those amounts encouraged. Or, of course, you can donate directly to us via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is that PayPal address. It is groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal. I should let you know that the executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name. Sweet Child Arizona, talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Check out our videos. Check out everything Michelle related, linked up down in the description. Check out our streaming station available 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. We play a ton of music, have a lot of fun with that. So do check that out. I'm sorry, my voice is getting a little bit little haggard here. We've been really putting out the video content and doing a lot of this stuff lately, so I think I need some coffee. Anyway, check out all that stuff linked up down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of your continued support. We could not do this without you. Really do appreciate it. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and have yourselves a beautiful rest of your Wednesday.